Welcome to the LEN Champions League Round 6 highlights. The last round of the group stage brought some amazing games played across Europe in great atmosphere, with clubs fighting to advance to the next stage. In Group A, Sabadell was host to Novi Beograd and Brescia was playing against Romanian champion Steaua. Group B saw the biggest game of the round, with Greek and Italian juggernauts Olympiacos and Pro Recco clashing in Piraeus. Crvena Zvezda played Jadran Herceg Novi, and Jadran Split had a difficult job at home against the mighty Ferencvaros in Group C. Marseille and Spandau were battling for second place in Group D, and both needed wins against Barceloneta and Vuliagmeni. The last round in Group A started in Sabadell, with the game starting at 12 o'clock. Novi Beograd came to Spain with the intention of confirming the first place, while Sabadell needed a win to secure a second position, but they weren't even close. The Serbian champions controlled the game from the beginning, and they took their first significant lead 2.5 minutes before the end of the first quarter, when Granados scored with an extra player to make it 3-1. Sabadell did not allow the visitors to take a bigger advantage. They reduced the difference to only 1 goal several times, and at half-time it was 6-4 in favour of Novi Beograd. But Živko Gocic's team broke the game in the middle of the third quarter, when first Drašević scored from the penalty, then Radjulović scored from play for the first major breakaway. Until the end, the European runners-up easily maintained this advantage and secured first place. Vlachopoulos and Radjulović were most effective with 3 goals each. With this defeat, Sabadell lost second place to Brescia and will continue their journey in the Euro Cup competition. The job on decision day for Brescia in Group A was a little bit easier thanks to Novi Beograd's win against Sabadell, meaning that their win against Steaua would take them among the best 8 teams in Europe. And that's exactly how it went from the first quarter. A convincing start, because it was 4-0 in the first 8 minutes of the game for the hosts. First, it was Stefano Guarato with a direct foul goal. Max Irving scored the second one from the penalty. Francesco Faraglia made it 3-0 from power play. And Alessandro Balzarini topped it off with his skip shot from the right side to make it 4-0 and to trace a winning path of the game for the Italian club right from the first period. The lead would go up to 5-0 in the second Brescia's attack of the second quarter, when Eduardo Manzi found the back of the net. It took Steaua almost 13 minutes to score their first goal, which was the work of Luca Georgescu from the penalty. 5-1, but no surprise whatsoever until half-time, because Alessandro Bovo's players went on to widen the gap with a 9-2 lead. Power play goals, fast break goals, you name it. But it took them almost 5 minutes to score again in the third quarter. 4 out of the 11 total saves from Steaua's Marius Florentic came in this period before Vincenzo Dolce made it 10-2 from the left wing. Nicolo Gito scored 1 second to go before the last 8 minutes of the match to make it 12-3 for Brescia. The lead was eventually minimised in the first part of the fourth quarter. A great ball passed to Nicolae Anta, who found just enough space to get it past Francesco Masenza in the near corner. Victor Andre Antipa with a strong left hand shot from the right wing. And Tudor Falea with one of the best goals of the night were the trio that helped Steaua get to 12-6 in the last 4.5 minutes. The The rest of the match was smooth sailing for the Italian team that cruised down the road that secured them the quarter-finals of this season's LEN Champions League. With the third goal of the match for Mario Del Basso, the Italians' final goal for 16-7 came with 4 seconds to go before the final whistle, and it also secured him the title of the best scorer of the match. The derby of Group B, as well as the entire 6th round, was played in Piraeus, where Olympiacos welcomed the current champions, Pro Recco. Even though it was already clear before the last match that the Greek and Italian champions would go ahead, this was still the beauty of the round. And she definitely justified that role, because we saw a great and dramatic match in which the winner was decided literally in the last second. But let's start in order. Olympiacos opened better and took a 2-0 lead midway through the first quarter, with goals from Fontales and Vamos. The left-handed Hungarian was in a particularly good mood, and with 2 more goals with an extra player, he gave his team a 3-goal lead in the second quarter. Pro Recco came back with field goals from Echenike and Di Fulvio, only for the Greeks to go into half-time with a decent lead thanks to Fontales. In those first 16 minutes, the home team played a particularly good defence against one of the best players in the world, Zelenki, who failed to score a goal and missed a penalty shot at the opening of the match. In the third quarter, it was goal for goal. Olympiacos would lead by 3 goals and Pro Recco would come back. The decision followed in the last 8 minutes. You guessed it, it was in those pivotal moments that Zelenki woke up, who in the space of just 2 minutes with 2 almost identical goals reminded us why he is probably the best scorer of today. Sandro Sukno's team reached the first equaliser a little less than 4 minutes before the end, when Prosciutti scored with a man extra. The same player scored just a minute later from the left wing for Pro Recco's first lead. Then came the drama. Olympiacos got an extra player in the last minute, and with a goal by Papanastasio assisted by Vamos, half a minute before the end, Voje Kolyanin's team equalised. After that, Sukno called a time-out. The battle between Halak and Bachelier lasted for a long time at 2 metres, so that the Croatian defender was sent off in the end. The action with an extra player was reduced to mutual passes between Zelenki and Di Fulvio, and a second before the end, Di Fulvio shot and hit the net for the visiting team's celebration. Pro Recco thus won the group with maximum performance, and Olympiacos moves on from the second position. Zelenki and Prosciutti, with 3 goals, were the most effective in the Italian team, while Vamos and Fontales had an identical performance in the home squad. Del Lungo had 10 saves and Biac saved 9.
On the end we won, we take another 3 points. I'm satisfied, but we didn't start very well the game, with low intensity, without defense, without counter-attack. It's without this part of the water polo game, it's difficult to play against Olympiacos. But during the game, we grow up like a group, and on the end, we won the game. But didn't play well, but nothing else. On the end, we are the first in the group, and we continue to improve our game now.
Like I said before the game, we was expecting the game like this. We want to show the people that today it's meet 2 very good teams, and I think in the end this happened. So for the result, yes, of course, then I'm not happy with the result, but I will tell you that I'm very happy with the performance of my team. If we will continue like this, we will have good results in the end.
In the second match of Group B, Bruges welcomed one of only 2 teams who didn't get a single point in this European season. Jug already secured the third spot in this group, so the coach Vyacheslav Kubechak gave more playing time to the youngsters such as Mauro Percocha, Ivusha Bergele and Luca Biolopera, amongst others. The guests from Tbilisi took the lead in the opening few minutes of the game. It was 3-1, around 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. Then the Hannes Dauber show, with his 7 goals in this match, started with a power play goal to make it 3-2. Kavica Yakhaya hit back from power play as well for 4-2, but Jug's duo Marco Javella and Sergei Cabanas made it even for the first time. 5-5 after the first 8 minutes, with 3 out of 5 goals for the guests that came from power plays. Pierre Chevats has drawn yet another exclusion, third of the game at the beginning of the second quarter. His goal made it 6-5 for Dinamo, but Dauber struck back in the next attack to make it 6-6. Rino Buric built Jug's advantage with the next 2 goals. Georgi Magradvelidze didn't back down in the next attack for the guests before Dauber scored for the second time in this game to make it 9-7 at the end of the first half. The third quarter is where Jug created a significant advantage, the biggest one being +7. 2 goals from Cabanas, Dauber, Biolopera, and only 2 goals for Dinamo scored by Vapensky and Magradvelidze for 15-9 before the last swimming for the ball. And by that point, it was all clear regarding the winner of this match. Dynamo couldn't turn it around. The most they could do is to lower the goal difference 3 times to -6, with shots from Tankosic, Jixiorenka and Vapensky, who scored the last goal of the match for the final result, 19-13. Jadran welcomed the leader of Group C, Ferencváros, in an exciting fixture that didn't really change much when it came to the standings. The guests remained unbeaten in the group phase, but the winning streak continued after the penalty shootout. Here's how it went down. Stylianos Argyropoulos found the back of the net for the guests at the beginning of the match. But it was Jadran who took the lead twice with goals from Antonio Dušević and Duja Pejković, who scored from power play. (3-2) for the hosts going into the second period, where Dusan Mandic scored twice, the second one being a lob shot in under a minute to make it 3-4 for FTC. After assisting 2 goals, Luka Bukic got on the scoreboard with his first of the game to make it 4-4. It didn't take the guests long to hit the target again. Gergo Fekete scored for another goal advantage for the guests from a power play, the same one he has drawn. Goal after goal for 7-7 at half-time, and it remained the same throughout the most part of the third period. Now watch these 2 beauties. Pejković and his lob shot being his 3rd goal of the match for 10-9. And Mandic's response, also his 3rd of the game, in the next attack for FTC to make it 10-10. Argyropoulos as well as Luca Damonte were the 2 players that scored in the final 2 minutes of the third period to make it 12-10. The lead went 3 goals up with Zoltan Pol's goal from the left post in the first attack in the last 8 minutes. But Jadran didn't back down. Fast forward to the final 3 minutes, Juro Radovic with another left-hand shot from the right wing, his 2nd of the game, makes it 14-15. And it was goal after goal all over again. Lauren Fatovic secured the penalty shootout with his 2nd goal for 16-16, but the guests were more precise when it came down to this. All of them were impeccable from 5 metres, and to top it off, FTC's goalkeeper Soma Vogel, who ended the match with 11 saves, stopped Zvonimir Butic and his shot in the first round of penalties. Radovic hit the goalpost in the second one, and the final result was 17-20 for the Hungarian club.
And on the match, after penalty shootout, FTC-Telekom wins.
While the first encounter of Group C didn't have much importance results-wise, Crvena Zvezda and Jadran Herceg-Novi had it all to play for in their last group encounter of the LEN Champions League. The stake for the third spot? A place in the LEN Euro Cup 8 finals that leads you to the first pot of the draw. It was an all-Montenegrin team in the first quarter. Danilo Radovic scored the first goal for the guests from the left side. Marko Radovic made it even 64 seconds later with his goal from the penalty spot. 2 power play goals and a fast break goal led to 4-1 after the first 8 minutes. But Crvena Zvezda staged a comeback in the second quarter with a much better display. With 3 goals scored and not a single ball had to be taken out from Vladimir Misevic's goal, it was 4-4 at half-time, thanks to Lucas Seaman's great 2-metre goal with 1 minute and 13 seconds to go. Well, make that 19 full minutes without a goal for Jadran in this game, because that's how long it took them to find the back of the net again. Much stronger defences on both ends, while only Zvezda's Miloš Vukicevic scored from power play in the third quarter to make it 5-4 with 8 minutes to go. 1 goal lead went on to become a 3-goal gap in the last period, even though Jadran's Danilo Radovic scored from a power play to end the goal drought for the guests and make it 6-5. Zvezda used the next 2 attacks to make it 8-5 with around 4 minutes to go. Jovan Vojovic made it 8-6 with his only goal of the game. A strong shot after a foul from the right side with 64 seconds to go. And Lucas Seaman closed the game after a rebound from 2 metres with 32 seconds to go for the final result, 9-6 for the hosts. In Group D, the only doubt ahead of the final round was who would finish second. To overtake Marseille, Spandau needed to win in Greece at Vouliagmeni, with the French team losing to Barceloneta. We saw a great game in Marseille. The home team opened the game brilliantly and were constantly in the lead throughout the first quarter, primarily thanks to Christian Monhertz, who scored the first 3 goals of his team. Barceloneta took the lead for the first time after just 2 minutes of play in the second quarter, when Felipe Peroni scored for 4-5. Those 2 players marked the match. The Spanish champions went into half-time with a 2-goal advantage, thanks to Unai Bellelara, who scored 18 seconds before the end of the second quarter. Until the end of the game, Barceloneta were constantly in the lead. The biggest was 3 goals, which they achieved for the first time at the opening of the third quarter, with the mastery of Peroni for 6-9. But Marseille did not give up and slowly caught up with the advantage. A minute and a half before the end of that period of play, they came close to just -1 with a goal by Thomas Verno with a man extra. The final went into a complete tie after a nice goal by Ante Vukicevic from an outside position a little more than 2 minutes before the end, and the result was 12-12. But in the very next attack, Barceloneta managed to score what turned out to be the winning goal. Who else but Peroni with an extra player for his team's 3 points? It was his fourth goal in as many attempts. At Marseille, Manhertz was the most effective with an identical performance. That result in Marseille would have taken Spandau to the next stage of the competition if they had beaten last place Vouliagmeni in Greece. However, this did not happen. In fact, at no point were the Germans even close to victory. Everything was decided already after the first quarter, when Vouliagmeni led 5-0. Denis Strelevski gave hope that Spandau could turn it around with 2 goals at the opening of the third quarter, when the scoreboard read 6-5. However, by the end of that period of the game, the Greek team had taken the game in their direction with 2 goals. Until the end, they only increased their advantage. Vouliagmeni were led by Kaligoropoulos and Papasifakis with 3 goals. It was also the first victory of Vladimir Vojasinovic's team. They in Spandau will continue their performance in the Euro Cup competition in the round of 16. Marseille from the second place and Barceloneta from the first place, with the maximum number of points, go to the quarter-final group of the Champions League. Novi Beograd and Brescia are going through, with the Italians as the only qualifier progressing to the quarter-final stage. Sabadell was left 1 point short and will continue in the LEN Euro Cup, as is Steaua. Pro Recco and Olympiacos were clear favourites in Group B, and they proved it, taking the first 2 spots. Yug is third and Georgian champions Dynamo Tbilisi is last. Ferencvaros was too strong for Group C. Only Jadran Split managed to take them to penalties in the last round, when it was all decided. Crvena Zvezda is third and Jadran Herzog Novi fourth. Barceloneta was dominant in Group D with 6 victories, and Marseille finished in second. Spandau gave a good fight until the last round and continues in the LEN Euro Cup with Vouliagmeni. That's all for this edition of the LEN Champions League. Competition will be back in March next year after the European and World Championships, which will be played in Croatia and Qatar. We leave you with our selection of the best goals from this round. See you next time.
Yeah.